Hello, Mga Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic, and as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves always seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. First, we have a very special guest today. We would like to welcome Dr. Charlene Thiagaraja, Chief Executive Officer of TM Research and Development, Malaysia. Dr. Charlene Thiagaraja serves as the Chief Executive Officer of the Research Development, a wholly owned subsidiary of Telecom and Malaysia Group. She is also responsible to bringing new technologies and innovations to the group with special focus on advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, IoT and digital platforms from 2016 to 2017. She was appointed chairman of the R&D value stream for Acacia Communications SDN BHD, a unique ASEAN collaboration among 7 leading telecommunications providers in the region. She is also currently serving as a committee member in the Faculty of Science, Material Science at the University of Putra, Malaysia, UPM, and she has more than 20 years experience in the telecommunications industry with numerous IPRS and research publications to her name, and she holds a PhD in computer systems engineering, a master's degree in telecommunications engineering from UPM, and a BEng in electrical engineering, first class honors from University Technology Malaysia, and she started her career in 1995 as an RF engineer at the TM R&D, where she led the team to commercialize a tri-band antenna system for 3G communications. And she later moved to TM Corporate Strategy as General Manager, Strategic Planning and Business Development for the group. In 2013, she was appointed Head of Strategy for VADS or VADS BHD. And in 2014, appointed as Vice President of Technology Innovation before assuming her current role in 2016. Welcome to the program, Dr. Charlene.
Thank you, Almako. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Okay, so you're using phone now also. Okay. Dr. Charlene, please share with us a brief introduction on what TM R&D is and what changes have transpired since you've been in charge of TM.
Thank you, Alma. Let me talk about TM R&D in 2 parts. First, I want to talk about the role that we play within Telecom Malaysia and also the larger role that we aspire to take in supporting the growth of Malaysia as a country, and hopefully in ASEAN, now that you have such a kind introduction for me. And I also want to talk about the work that my team has done, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic spate. Right, we have delivered 4 things or 4 great innovations within 3 months, which I'm so very proud of. So as you had mentioned before, Telecom TM R&D is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Telecom Malaysia Group. And I do hope Telecom Malaysia is not a stranger in the ASEAN region. We are by far the most comprehensive telecommunications and digital infrastructure provider in Malaysia, supporting consumers, not just consumers, enterprise, public sectors, and even other telcos in Malaysia. We were incorporated in 2001, and today we are the center of innovation for TM Group. We have 3 roles, 3 main roles. We are an enabler to bring new technology and innovation to the group. We are a catalyst to groom an industry-forward talent pool, something that is so important for the growth of any country, and as a creator. And this is our passion, really, to transform the nation, not just to be a nation of consumers, but a nation of producers. And like you rightfully mentioned earlier, Alma, it's all about sustainability and security for the nation. A little bit about, when I took over as CEO in 2016, and together with my team, nothing could have happened without the brilliant team with me. We transformed the organization, not just from an output perspective of what we delivered, but I believe from a culture and mindset, from a traditional research facility to an organization focused on commercialization and value creation. And all this without losing our roots as a creator, which is what we do in R&D. We managed to increase our adoption rates from 5 to 100% within 2 years. So adoption rate is people using the stuff that we build. because it's really cool to build things, but if people don't use it and people don't leverage the powers of technology, it will be such a waste. We delivered 1.6 billion ringgit in innovation impact in 2019 alone, and we've created more than 2,700 patents, IPRs, and 1,400 digital assets.
Wow. So what is TM R&D's role in supporting Malaysia's efforts in driving the digital transformation?
One of my very first initiatives at R&D, and this was way back in 2016, was to kick off the development of a digital platform. And this was to act as a brokerage system, and if you will, a brains, for anything that's going digital. It was something we found missing in all the noise that we are hearing about digital at the time. And imagine it's 2016. In 2018, we launched a open innovation platform. That's the brand name that we have for our platform. It's Malaysia's first open software development platform that acts as a brains for any digital development, and big or small. And of course, at that time, we envisioned TM Group as being the pillar of carrying the core digital infrastructure for Malaysia. And we started building this to see how can people leverage digital and see the whole value of digital in their current implementation. As you can imagine, people were talking digital, but the adoption was very slow. So today, in 2019 alone, we are running more than 27 million APIs. APIs are like transactions, the calls that happens in the platform. And when we started, we were worried. We were wondering whether we could even reach 1 million API calls. And I had to set a target for the team, and we were wondering whether we were ever going to achieve it. But the team, we sat down again. Initially, it was like 20,000 API calls every month, and we were wondering how are we ever going to achieve these numbers. And we sat down, strategized, and had an education roadmap, and we started talking about the benefits of breaking down how we build things into very, very small digital assets, and that really drives transactions. And today we're at 27 million API calls. This platform, Alma, if I may do a little bit of sharing here,
Yes.
marketing. We have a community version which is absolutely free, and it's open to everyone globally, especially in ASEAN. Please, we will share with you more links. Just come and use it and explore leveraging and building digital content.
Okay, so may I divert the question a little bit to the pandemic? What research and innovation has gone into directly or indirectly affecting efforts at addressing the pandemic? Do you have, like, for example, EWAR, mass detection of normal temperatures or something like that? 15
Absolutely. So we did 4 things within 3 months, and one of it was this AI-driven contactless thermal camera solution. And we built it with high accuracy, because at that time, the first measure of whether COVID was upon you was your highest temperature, right? So we built something that is contactless, that can do 15 or detect 15 people per second in a crowded setting. So it's perfect for airports, shopping malls, and MRT stations, and anywhere with crowds. We later found that there were other use cases where companies were looking for very serial one-on-one detection, and so we built a scaled-down version, still highly accurate, but more affordable, and we launched that too. We call that EWAR Compact. And of course, we had a contact tracing application, and we built a platform leveraging on OIP to share, how do we share data on COVID-19. And this was in collaboration with MDEC, our Malaysian Development Economic Corporation, on a sharing platform to leverage data that we collect on COVID-19.
How did research on EWAR come about, seeing that it's a creative way of using telco technology?
Exactly. So, early in January, when news was still in China, and then we found that they were in Italy and so on, and all of us started saying, "Oh my goodness, it's coming. If it's
Yeah.
it's going to be upon us." And we started reading news about researchers in the biomedical space, especially doing a lot of things, vaccine testing and all that. So the team and I, we sat down and said, hey, we are researchers. What are we doing? How can I use technology and telco? We have to do something and contribute. So the guys thought about it and they say, oh, I can do detection, thermal. The first stage of detection is temperature. And we said, let's do it. Contactless, AI, multiple screens per second. And the team did it. What can I say? They're incredible.
Yes, it is. You mentioned AI, artificial intelligence. So, do you think how does artificial intelligence align with the early warning alert, the EWAR solution, response solution? Like, for example, age and gender can be captured to predict geolocation faster, no?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
spot on. So with AI, we can take your face, for example, and we have algorithms that can tell whether you're male, female, roughly your age group. We are not perfect yet, but we can tell whether you're happy and you're sad, or with a few main characteristics. It's all about looking at
Wow.
some facial points in your face, and they can tell whether even facial recognition is something that we've built in. So EWO now doubles up as a attendance taking for some companies. So you just walk in because there's SOPs in companies where you need to take temperature and we need to know attendance. So we can marry the two within the same EWO solution.
So how is TM or TM R&D through its many initiatives and ongoing projects and research creating innovative ecosystems for Malaysia?
I think the best launchpad for us was the open innovation platform that we built, because it allows us to work with anyone and any companies, big or small. We have at least 6 main collaborations already nailed with some key players in Malaysia. We have people like MDEC, like I talked about. We have AXA Insurance with us. And this is good because we're working on new behavioral-based insurance models. So imagine if you're a good driver, perhaps you can negotiate for better rates with your insurance company. Or if we can detect that when you drive and you're only driving twice a day, once to work, and then you keep your car there for 8 hours, and then once back home, and then your car stays still in your porch. And so then the risk profile is much lower because you're hardly on the road. So could you possibly have a pay-per-use insurance model for the future? Or things like that. And these are interesting things we're working with industry partners, leveraging on our open innovation platform, because that's where all the data can be captured on driving, whether you're doing harsh braking or whether you're doing cornering, or whether you're, especially when you're using your company car, you're kind of like gassing it,
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
we've got so this platform allows us to collaborate, and I'm very happy with what we have done so far.
What platforms exist under the TM R&D that help enterprises to innovate and grow in the space of digital economy?
We have 4 main pillars, Alma. We have what we call intelligent OSS, or intelligent operational support systems. And these are usually an intelligent layer that we build on most of the fundamental core systems that companies use. So we've got Camellia, we have Force, we have Spice.ai, solutions that brings intelligence for better customer experience. The other lever that we have is data brokerage, which is the open innovation platform that I spoke about. It's about how we transact data, how we leverage data, how we correlate information to build better solutions. The third is, of course, new industry forward solutions for productivity and so on. And the fourth one is a spin-off from there, where we were looking at building solutions for smarter digital workforce, workforce that is safer and workforce that is more productive. I think that is a key lever for most companies. How do I keep my people safe, and how do I keep them productive at the same time?
Yes. But other than the effect of the spread of the COVID-19 now, the pandemic that's going on all around the world, what could be the current roadblocks to, do you think, for innovation and digital transformation?
I believe, while it might sound, and of course there's pros and cons, and on COVID-19, I don't want to touch into that. There's a lot of things that has happened to a lot of people, and that's always not good news. But from a technology standpoint, I think COVID-19 somehow had pushed a lot of companies and even countries into thinking digital. And we have realized that digital technology can keep your people safer, especially social distancing, and also keep people more productive.
Yes.
Because the tools, Alma, we are now talking on a video conferencing Jitsi tool, which I think in the past would never happen. I would have been called to a studio somewhere and said, you know, Charlene, now give your 10 minutes, 2 cents worth of talk, you know. So today we are very fortunate with technology, and of course with the telco infrastructure, I must say that, because that is the building block to enable digital to happen.
Dr. Charlene, what opportunities do you see for telecommunications technology during or after the pandemic, having said that?
I think cloud will definitely be there and will grow, because everything that we are doing now is sitting on, of course, the telco infrastructure, your fiber cables and so on. And then the one layer on top of that will be your digital infrastructure, which then sits on the cloud, which will enable this movement of data and communication effortlessly. So I believe this is the future, Alma.
Yes, indeed. Is there a particular, being women, is there a particular unique role for women in the technology R&D field? Do you think women will fulfill a niche role in driving innovation culture?
That's an excellent question, Alma. I think when I was in engineering school, I was probably maybe just 10. There were probably only 10 students in my class. That was female, and the rest were male. And but I don't see any difference between capability of male and female, as you can obviously see in your industry or any other industry. It's just opportunity. In TM R&D, I believe in, we have 3 main pillars: substance, impact, and inclusivity. And inclusive means, you know, gender, race, and everything. We do not discriminate. We look at people who are good, and we embrace them and get them, you know, into our company. And females bring perspective. I think they're kinder to the environment.
Nurturing.
Nurturing, and they multitask better. How about that?
How will ASEAN countries leverage from this experience and possibly move forward with working with Malaysia? Work with Malaysia moving forward, yeah.
I definitely love that. We are definitely happy and look forward to have open collaboration with like-minded companies from ASEAN. And these are companies who believe in the same ethos as us, which is creating and doing good for the nation, and helping people and be inclusive and so on. Naturally, I'm happy to share in our transformation journey what worked and what didn't work, and perhaps some of the evolution path that we had taken. We are still in evolution, I would say. It doesn't stop. We are constantly changing and evolving and adapting to the changes. As you can tell, Alma, with digital, everything is changing so fast. But I'm loving it. We have a lot of solutions to share with the world, with ASEAN, not just e-war, which is something maybe very, very relevant for this time, but also a lot of solutions that we have built, on our 4 pillars: data brokerage, telco intelligence support systems, IR 4.0 solutions, digital workforce, and so on.
May I ask a personal question? Technology-wise, what is your dream for Malaysia or the ASEAN region? What would be the best development opportunity for us in the next decade or so?
Oh, I think, well, my marketing statement would be, Alma, I would like TM R&D solutions to be in everyone's home. But I think from a bigger perspective, I believe AI or artificial intelligence, a lot of things are actually predicated on having machines do all these rudimentary, routine things faster for you. And I believe we will see more and more of that coming in. So it's all about the IR 4.0 focus that we are seeing today. And I believe we will see more of that in ASEAN, hopefully.
Yes, true.
So we get our people to get people to go into higher level of work and thinking, and so they start creating, and create new things. I think we need people to start dreaming for the future.
True. Is there any way we can get in touch with you, Dr. Charlene?
Of course, please reach out to us at business@tmrnd.com.my or visit our website at www.tmrnd.com.my.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Charlene Tiagaraja, Chief Executive Officer of TM Research and Development. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Alma. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. All right, ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Matinding salpukan ng magagaling ang hindi dapat palampasin ngayong weekend.
Ang angas nyo, grabe kayo.
Hangang-hanga na talaga ako sa'yo. This is what you call tagisan ng galing. Ito na yon.
Sino-sino ang bubuo sa Final 5 na makakasama sa Grand Finale? Abangan yan dito lang sa Tagisan ng Galing, the Semi-Finals.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanmig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sanmig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichos, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichos. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Lunch and Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Food Standard Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Ulan Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated, Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee. Masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Philippine National Bank, masasandalan ng pamilyang Pilipino saan man sa mundo. PNB, you first. Rain or shine, elastomeric waterproofing paint. Matimco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation. East West Bank, your dream, our focus.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sandmade Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sandmade Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system, starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back. The Thai government launched 2 projects to achieve the goal of becoming a digital hub in ASEAN. Joining us from Thailand is Crystal Mapa. Hello, Crystal.
Hi, Alma. It's good to be back and it's
good to see you back.
Yes, we have the latest update here from Thailand. The government is pinning its hopes in 2 major projects to achieve its goal of becoming a digital hub in ASEAN. A low Earth orbit or LEO satellite business is being funded through an amendment to the Space Affairs Act, and the country is expanding its submarine cable capacity to make it more efficient for Thais to access digital infrastructure at an affordable price, says Digital Economy and Society Minister Budipongse Punakanta. Mr. Budipongse said the government had added some key details to the Space Affairs Act concerning licensing and business structure, enhancing its definition of space affairs infrastructure as well as types of satellite business categories. He also said that the government, through CAT Telecom, developing Thailand to be the digital hub of ASEAN by expanding the capacity of submarine cables and creating new ones via a consortium agreement signed in February. The new submarine cable under the consortium is expected to be completed in the next 2 years. Mr. Budipong says that 5G technology was becoming a major blood vessel in the digital infrastructure for Thailand's recovery, as well as reshaping the country to lead the ASEAN region through a collaboration of public and private sectors. Meanwhile, major mobile operators will forge the country's social and economic development through 5G technology. Mr. Budipongse said the new normal had affected both society and the economy, driven by tech-driven factors and proactive healthcare measures. More importantly, the new situation was already pushing public healthcare to be a major factor for attracting overseas investment. Mr. Budipongse also said the government also planned to develop Thai personal health data through cloud-based data analytics. This would make it easier for people to access healthcare services and related personal health data by using only a smart ID card. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Crystal, for your updates there in Thailand. Good to see you back.
Thanks, Alma, and enjoy your weekend. Reporting live from Thailand, this is Crystal Mapa. We live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, the Bar Council in Maldives has reversed its restrictions on gatherings. Joining us from the beautiful island of Maldives is Steffi Dewan. Hello, Steffi.
Hello, Alma. Yes, that's the latest news for today. The Bar Council on Thursday called on the government to reverse the restrictions imposed on public gatherings and assemblies, declaring that the administrative order was in contravention of the Constitution and international obligations of Maldives. In a controversial move that has drawn much ire and scrutiny, the Ministry of Home Affairs declared Tuesday that protests and all forms of public gatherings cannot be held without prior written approval by Maldives Police Service. The order came after multiple protests were stalled during the month of July, including marches by exploited expatriate workers demanding unpaid wages, child and women rights groups, as well as by the opposition coalition. In a press release, the Bar Council highlighted that the Home Ministry's declaration was made under Section 24 of the Peaceful Assembly Act 2013, a contentious amendment ratified during former President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Gayoom's administration in the wake of several protests held by then opposition and current ruling party, as this amendment allows the Home Minister to impose requirement to seek prior permission before exercising the right to assembly. The Bar Council declared it was in direct violation of Article 32 of the Constitution, which states everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly without prior permission of the state, noting that under Article 18, the state is mandated to protect and promote all the rights accorded in the Constitution. The Bar Council further highlights that restricting the freedom to assembly was in contravention to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or UDHR, and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or ICCPR. The Bar Council also touched on the Ministry's decision to exempt only the Carnival area in Henveru ward of Capital Male from the restrictions. They highlighted that under the principle of the protection of human rights in protest 2016, individuals are accorded the freedom to choose the location of protest in order to reach their intended audiences. Hence, the Council concluded that the restrictions were unconstitutional and further called on the Parliament to repeal Section 24 of the Peaceful Assembly Act 2013. The parliamentary representative for Capuatos Kaashido constituency, MP Abdullah Habir, had filed a motion to repeal the amendment in August 2019. The issue has not made any progress in the parliament till date. The Bar Council statement came after the government staunchly defended the restriction on the freedom of assembly on Wednesday night, maintaining that the order was issued within the framework of the Constitution. Despite the government's present stance on the issue, the ruling Maldivian Democracy Party, or MDP, which was the main opposition during Yamin's administration, had lambasted the amendment when it was first implemented, stating it was unconstitutional and in violation of the fundamental right to assembly. However, following the change in the administration in late 2018, President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih's government did not repeal the prickly law, although it was seldom enforced until the Home Ministry's announcement this week. In addition to the Bar Council, rights groups, activists, parliamentarians, and other local entities, the international NGO Human Rights Watch has also slammed the government's decision as a violation of fundamental rights. And For the COVID-19 update, as of 6 p.m., Alma confirmed an additional 68 cases of COVID-19 infections in Maldives with a total number of 2,899 cases. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you, Steffi, from the beautiful islands of Maldives. Thank you so much for your updates.
Thank you so much, Alma. Once again, this is Steffi Puwan reporting live from Maldives, and we live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, coronavirus patients are no longer required to undergo second or third tests at the end of a quarantine. For confirmation of recovery, Arabel Pascua joins us live from Bangladesh. Hello, Arabel.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, you are correct. The patients who show symptoms or required medication in the last 3 days of their isolation period and the dead are purged from recovery list according to officials are no longer need to go under second or third test at the end of the quarantine for confirmation recovery. If their symptoms subside, the health directorate automatically counts them among improvements. That is how the recovery count presented in the daily health bulletin. Dr. Nasima Sultana, Additional Director General of the Directorate, said that they have been providing this new estimate of recovered patients since June 28. Earlier, patients were tested at the end of their isolation periods and then declared healthy based on their test results. The National Technical Advisory Committee on COVID-19 still recommends conducting tests after a patient completes the quarantine period. However, the Health Directorate claims to be following the new protocol of the World Health Organization. The Health Directorate has reported 196,323 coronavirus cases in Bangladesh and 2,496 deaths with a total of 106,963 patients recovered. The recovery rate stood at 40.44% on June 28, the last day in which the recovery count was reported using the old criteria. It has since jumped to 54.48% under the new method of the calculation. Officials said they are collecting information about the recovered and dead patients in home isolation through the District Civil Surgeon's Office. However, the Directorate did not aggregate the numbers of patients who have recovered in hospitals and at home. Virologist Nazrul Islam is a member of the National Technical Advisory Committee on COVID-19, claimed that the new method of calculating the number of recovered patients is said to be defective. Back to you, Alma.
Okay, thank you very much, Arabel, for your updates there. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alma. Reporting live from Bangladesh, I am Arabel Pascua. We live in interesting times.
Over in Malaysia, over 800,000 individuals sampled so far for COVID-19. Let's get an update about that. Here is Gail Aldos. Hello, Gail.
Yes, Alma, that is the news for today. A total of 868,394 individuals have been sampled for COVID-19 in the country so far, a ratio of 27.14 individuals per 1,000 population. Health Director General Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the number of samples taken is on par with South Korea's rate of 26.2 per 1,000 population. Neighboring countries such as Singapore has a rate of 79.83 per 1,000 population, Vietnam 2.7, Australia 114.15, New Zealand 87.54, and Japan 4.14, he said. Dr. Nur Hisham also said that preliminary data from the Crisis Preparedness and Response Center showed that Malaysia has done 1.57 million reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction and RTK antigen tests, as there were individuals who needed repeat testing. He said at the Health Ministry's COVID-19 media briefing yesterday that laboratory capacity for sampling in Malaysia increased to 37,000 samples a day. But the positive rate was only at 1.05%, meaning almost 99% of COVID-19 tests returned negative. Dr. Nur Hisham said despite daily COVID-19 cases now remaining low, the Ministry of Health was still actively monitoring for cases in the community through surveillance. In this regard, the ministry reported 129 COVID-19 cases detected through clinical surveillance activity, he said. He also said this involved sampling that recorded 15 positive cases from 3,000 infections, which was 85 cases from 21,544 samples, and pre-surgery, which is 29 cases from 66,081 samples. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Gail. Thank you, EBC Kuala Lumpur Bureau.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is Gail Aldas. We live in interesting times.
In Vietnam, President Nguyen Phu Trong and U.S. President Donald Trump, Vietnam and the U.S. have exchanged congratulatory letters on the occasion of their 25th anniversary of diplomatic relations. Ralph Vandolf Empire reports.
Party General Secretary of State President Nguyen Phu Trong and U.S. President Donald Trump have exchanged congratulatory letters on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of normalization of diplomatic relations between the two countries. In his letter addressed to President Trump, Trong wrote that during the past 25 years, both countries have overcome geographical distance and divergences to advance the bilateral ties in a progressive and stable manner, making the U.S. one of Vietnam's top partners in various fields. In recent years, the two nations have actively maintained effective cooperation focused on removing obstacles, especially those related to trade and finance, and gradually consolidated and enhanced the comprehensive partnership on the basis of respect for the United Nations Charter, international law, and each other's political systems, independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Under the spirit of shelving the past, overcoming divergences, promoting similarities, and looking to the future, Chong expressed his belief that the Vietnam-U.S. comprehensive partnership would continue to be further deepened effectively and sustainably for the benefits of the two peoples and for security, peace, and prosperity in the region and the world. Meanwhile, President Trump wrote that the advancement of the bilateral ties is a special miracle, creating foundations for mutual confidence and understanding, allowing us to establish the comprehensive partnership evidenced by growing trade, exchanges, people-to-people connectivity, strategic cooperation, and joint efforts in addressing humanitarian issues and war legacy. Trump pledged that the U.S. maintains its commitments to further enhancing and expanding the bilateral ties on the basis of the shared vision on a peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific region, as well as mutual respect for sovereignty and rules of law. On the occasion, Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc and Chairwoman of the National Assembly, Nguyen Thi Kim Ngan, also exchanged congratulatory messages with President Donald Trump, Vice President Michelle Pence, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister Pham Binh Minh extended congratulations to U.S. Secretary of State Michael Pompeo. This is Ralph Vandolf Empire bringing you the latest updates here in Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc and New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern will hold an online summit. Joining us live from Vietnam is Micah Gwyneth Papostol. Hello, Micah.
Hello, Alma. Here's the latest news from Vietnam. Vietnam and New Zealand Prime Ministers to hold virtual summit this month. Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc and New Zealand's counterpart Jacinda Ardern will hold online summit on July 22. Foreign Minister spokesperson Le Thi Thu Hang told a room of reporters Thursday. The two leaders are expected to discuss measures to foster bilateral ties across such fields like politics, trade investment, defense and security, education, agriculture, people-to-people exchanges, and COVID-19 response in a comprehensive and practical manner, Hang said. The two prime ministers will also exchange views on regional and international issues of common concerns, said the spokesperson. Asked about the possibility of upgrading the bilateral ties to strategic partnership on the summit day, Hang said this year marks the 45th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Vietnam and New Zealand. Since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1975, the bilateral ties have advanced progressively and sustainably. Last year, the two sides lifted up the ties to comprehensive partnership level, which was a milestone for the sides to beef up the ties in an increasingly comprehensive, practical, and effective manner across fields. Based on the positive achievements of the past 45 years, Vietnam wishes and pledges to work with New Zealand to soon advance the ties to a new height, according to Hang. Back to you, Alma.
Okay, thank you, Micah. Thank you, EBC Vietnam Bureau.
From Da Nang, Vietnam, this is Micah Gwinnett Apostle. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Micah. Meanwhile, the government has agreed to reopen technical and vocational education training centers in Cambodia. And joining us live from Cambodia is Ed Boyose. Hello, Ed.
Alma. Hello.
Hello, Ed.
Hi, Alma. Magandang hapon. Yeah, Alma, the government announced that it is allowing the reopening of workshops, laboratories, and competency assessment centers at technical and vocational education and training institutes in response to requests from the Labor Ministry on 26th of June. In a letter on Tuesday, the ministry stressed that with the reopening, the institutes need to ensure health and safety guidelines are strictly followed to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. Yok City, director of the National Technical Training Institute in Cambodia, said on Wednesday, the institute has not yet set a date for the reopening and is awaiting guidelines from the Labor Ministry. However, the institute had already put hygiene measures in place and is ready to welcome back its students. As advised by the Health Ministry, it will limit the number of students per class to between 10 and 20. Social distancing guideline for students to stay at least 1.5 meters away from each other will also be strictly implemented. Currently, over 4,000 students who are studying at the institute are accessing its online classroom platform for theoretical sessions. Once the workshops, laboratories, and competency assessment centers are reopened, the students would be called to return to the school campus at specific hours to avoid crowding. CIFI added the institute had set up a disinfection booth and will conduct temperature checks at the school gate. Apart from the reopening of workshops, laboratories, and competency assessment centers, the government has also allowed the technical and vocational education training institutes under the Ministry of Labor to resume on-campus exit examinations and thesis defense. On the other note, Alma, the Education Ministry on Tuesday announced that the high school exit exam for private institutions will be held on August 17 and 18. Back to you, Alma.
All right, thank you, Ed, for your updates there in Cambodia. Have a great weekend.
Have a great week, Alma. Reporting live here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, I am Ed Boyose. We live in interesting times.
And finally, in our news, a museum which shows Vietnam's journalism history from the struggle over press freedom during the French colonial era to press activities during the Vietnam War has been open to the public in Hanoi since late June. Take a look. Its opening last month in Hanoi came shortly after the arrest of two journalists critical of the government, both on anti-state charges which carry heavy jail terms. All newspapers and television are state-controlled in Vietnam. Reporters Without Borders, which ranks Vietnam 175th out of 180 countries for press freedom, said the reporters' arrest sent a chilling message ahead of the Communist Party's 5-yearly Congress in January. However, for the museum director, Tran Thi Kim Hwa, the exhibition is a proud example of the apparent liberties enjoyed by the country's press corps. It focuses on their tools and some select work displaying old cameras, typewriters, reporters, teapots, and mugs and old articles. A replica of a loudspeaker used for transmitting propaganda messages during the Vietnam War was also or is also on display. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.